Hi, home language. I think we're about 5 minutes later, but I had an internet downtime, so yeah, I'm back again. It's Thursday evening, 11th of June, 6 p.m., just after 6. So welcome to visual literacy. It's our final session on Unit 3 for the different genres that we've been going through. So it's good to be back with you. There's my little visual for all the pictures popping out the pages that we're going to analyze. It's good to be sharing with you again, and let's get to it. First of all, we always have an overview of where we are in terms of our tasks and assignments, activities. We have just completed the visual literacy with film study last week, and that is due in on Friday night, tomorrow night at midnight. You can get yours in. I will go over the spreadsheet just now to show you where we are in terms of submissions. Today, for the visual literacy section from tonight is due next Friday night. So you've got a long weekend, lots of time to get things done and get your online tracking done. Okay, visual literacy is all about understanding exactly what you see. So when you see something, what are you actually really seeing? So that's what we're going to do tonight. 22nd of June is D-date for assignment 3, which is all 5 genres. We'll quickly look at that just now again. And we finish off with our general reflection on the whole course is our final activity that you have to complete. And I'm going to try and push for the 24th of June so I can get all my marking done. Right, so 22nd of June, assignment 3, the genres we've done already are from week 7, just after lockdown. When we got back, reading. We've done short story, poem, film study, and tonight is visual literacy, the last section of looking at these different genres, which are all going to be lesson plans in your assignment 3. Okay, so let's look at my little spreadsheet here. As you can see, I've popped in for week 11, and although it says there are 25 FET active, only 7 of you, that's not very many, there's my happy face for all the black that I love, have not completed, but I'm sure it'll jump up to like the 21 last week. And 14 of the 45 active SPs have completed so far. I'm sure those numbers will also jump up to the 34, which last week completed it. So again, those are things I'm monitoring, I'm watching it, I notice what's happening, and the red doesn't make me feel too happy. All right, we're all about visual literacy now. Okay, Unit 3, that's been this semester, what we've been looking at this last term. We've looked at all the reading theories, we've looked at teaching literature, novel, short story, drama, poetry. We've gone on to looking at literacy texts, and now we're on to the visual literacy part. Finished form study last week, and we're doing the second part of visual literacy tonight, all from Ferreira chapter 14, looking specifically at cartoons, adverts, pictures, and symbols tonight. There's your visual thinking toolkit, all the things you need to be a good visual thinker. And finally, we've got 2 more weeks to go. Isn't that wonderful? Can't believe it's just raced to this point so quickly, it seems. Next week we'll look at effective and appropriate resources. What are good resources? I've had some very good books that I've been looking at. I'm sure you've come across all of these with amazing resources in. And then finally we're going to end with best language teaching practices, best ways to teach reading, writing, listening, speaking, which is quite exciting, I think, because a lot of it's based on theories, and that's always interesting. Okay, so my outline for tonight in terms of visual literacy and visual thinking is we can look at the CAPS document in terms of teaching visual literacy. What does the CAPS document say? This is also part of what CAPS says, the value of visual literacy, why is it important. Then we can look at different terms, technical terms, as we do with film study, shots, angles, frames, focus, all those types of things, just as relevant as they are for film study are relevant for this visual literacy tonight. Then we can look at 4 different text types. We can look at symbols, photographs, pictures and images, advertisements, and cartoons. So those are 4 genres we look at here. Finally, we're going to look at how to actively view visuals. And this is according to what Ferrer says in chapter 14, what she suggests as a good table to actually go and analyze pictures and visuals. Okay. Right, so this is what CAPS says. Visual literacy is part of learning outcome 2, which is about reading and viewing, the viewing part. And it means that we need to understand visual texts, and we need to be equipped to be able to understand visual texts, to analyze them, to interpret them, and look at them critically. And so if we can understand them, we can evaluate them and be critical about them. We can say they're good, they're bad, and why. And then we can respond to them in a whole variety as well. So that's part of CAPS. CAPS says we have to make meaning out of visual in the same way as we have to make meaning out of written text. So that's to be visually literate. We have to be able to understand, interpret, and evaluate visual texts. Okay, so we have to make meaning out of the visual as same as we have to make meaning out of written. And here we've got 3 little cartoons. To understand this visually, you've got to understand the whole concept of how the visual is arranged, how font is used, how words are used, how punctuation is used, how expression is used. So in frame 1, we've got a little boy and little girl having a good time with their cell phones. Tick, 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 tick. And you'd understand that as language from working on your cell phone. And she says, the granny says, the trouble with you kids is you don't know what is going on. You always have your nose in your cell phones. Okay, so she's not very happy. She's got bold language there, exclamation marks. So the kids are not listening at all. They're just focusing on their cell phones, their screens. And the next shot, we are outside the house. Okay, and the boy says, hey, when did we go outside? And she says, we're outside. Okay, so shows what Granny has said. They are always busy. They don't know what's going on. They've been moved outside. They're not even aware of it. And yeah, the door slammed. Okay, so she's obviously shoved them outside, and they are so intrigued and into their cell phones that they haven't even noticed what is going on. And that's what message has been sent to us about that we've become so distracted by our cell phones and so embedded in them that life goes past and we don't even know what's happening. Okay, so in paper 1 for the FETs, 20 of your 70 marks will actually go for visual literacy. And for the SPs, paper 2, which is the language paper, 15 marks are to language in context, which will normally be an advertisement or a cartoon or some kind of picture that you'd have to interpret. So it is quite important. So you might say to me, well, why is non-verbal so important? And I'll say to you, well, what makes an impression on people? Is it non-verbal? Is it verbal? Well, let's have a look. You might think it's everything you say and write, but in fact it's not. That's only going to make a 7% impression on someone else. So your words of wisdom and all your inspiring things you say, people don't listen to, they really don't. If you go to an interview, they say they might remember the first thing you say and they might remember the last thing you say. So much else is lost. So just make something you've got profound words to say when you introduce yourself and something profound when you leave, because that's all that's going to be remembered. So your impression is going to be 55% is going to be your actual body language, how you stand, how you sit, how you lean, what your eye contact is like, what you're doing with your arms, what's your posture like. 55% will be remembered and make a good impression or a bad impression. And what about your voice? Those of you that are blessed with beautiful voices, deep voices, which I love, they'll remember you because a good voice is an asset and a talent. So your voice tone, your modulation, your pauses, how you emphasize, that you've got a very nice, succinct voice, those will be remembered in the interview. So 92 or 93% of your impression that you are creating is by your nonverbal language. So that's quite a powerful statement you're making. So this is how important the nonverbal really is. So make that good impression. Remember these things. Right, so CAPS knows that we are surrounded by visual literacy, and this is a whole idea of why visual must be integrated into most things and part of the meaning and understanding that's coming through. So if you think about daily facial expressions, you're looking at mine now, your parents, your child, you're reading them all the time. Gestures, what do you do with our hands? Okay, all these things you do. Google Maps, our road signs, how do we interpret them? Symbols, how do we know something is dangerous? How do we know there's an escalator there? How do we know where the toilets are? We look at symbols for that. Films and TV, posters, illustrations, cartoons, packaging, graphs, all part of the visual part of our world. And yeah, again, we've got another cartoon. They are looking at the Alps, beautiful scenery. The parent, the dad is really intrigued by it. The mom is shocked looking down at the daughter because she's not looking at the scenery, she's looking at her cell phone, where she's saying, here's another scenic area. She's not even appreciating the beauty of what she's seeing in front of her because the phone showing another picture is more important. So what are we losing out? What is the message here that's coming home to us? All right. Advertisements, the beauty of vehicles, status. What is the message that's coming through? If you've got one of these, you're going to be very successful. All those images that speak to us about these different things. What about symbols? When we see that, what do we think it means? Okay, do we understand it? Would it be meaningless to us? So we need to understand symbols. And what about packaging? There's Smarties. I like Smarties. So those are things that are visually appealing with all the color, the chocolate, making us want to rush out and buy Smarties. Okay. Right, so we look at 5 nonverbal codes that we need to understand in terms of our technical language and terms to unpack visual literacy and to be able to explain what we are actually seeing. So the first word I'm going to use, or first term, is proxemics. This is how we use space to communicate. This is our territory. So if you think of yourself in a taxi or in a bus or in an aeroplane where we still could fly, when somebody comes and sits too close to you that you don't know, you feel a bit uncomfortable because they're coming into your space. You might like someone to be very close to you, but usually with people we don't know, we like them just to keep their distance a bit because we feel uncomfortable when people come too close. So that's our territory. So if you're looking at a visual and it's a cartoon, check the spaces between people to develop relationships. If they're close, they are closer. In terms of friends and family, if they are further apart, they are not really enjoying each other's company. You'll see that John and Garfield are always quite separate, so they're not in each other's space. Also, clothing, personal adornment is used to convey group membership. If I'm wearing a sari, it'll show which group I'm part of. If I'm wearing a abaya, it'll show another group I'm part of. If I'm wearing a sarong, it'll be another group I'm part of. If I'm wearing leather jeans or leather pants or denims or shorts, also puts me in another category. So we show our group membership by the kinds of clothes that we wear. Our gaze is our eye contact, and this is also culturally defined. I might make eye contact with you, meaning that I am interested and I'm listening to you, but for another culture, it might show that I'm being very rude by making eye contact. All right, so eye contact can be misconstrued. If somebody comes and looks at you in your eyes and you are not used to this, you might feel that they're being very rude to you as well. Whereas I would feel that you're being rude by not making eye contact. It's quite confusing. Facial expression, smile is to show happiness. If we use the frown, we show displeasure. Interestingly, people from the East often don't like smiling at everyone. They think we are very rude and forward when we smile because they only smile at people that are their family and that they know, and they come to our country and everybody's smiling at them and they feel that we're very forward. So even a smile has got a culturally system which might not be appreciated all over the world. But generally, if you smile, it does mean happiness. Doesn't matter where in the world that you are. If you smile, people will see it as happy. If you frown, they will see it as a bit of displeasure or sadness. Okay. Kinesics is a whole body movement. How do we stand? What are we doing with our hands? What are we doing with our legs? Are our legs crossed? Are our legs open? Are we saying thumbs up? Are we saying stop? Are we putting our head to the side? What kind of How are we using our body to make meaning? If we shrug our shoulders, that's also showing meaning. These are different ways that we convey whether what we are doing or what we are feeling. Sometimes we don't even know that we're doing it. Our voices, and the fifth one we're going to look at, the quality of our voice and how we say things can show sincerity. Often if we speak in a low module tone, we show that we are being very sincere. If we shout, we're showing anger and maybe we're trying to hurt somebody else. Compassion will also be a softer voice. Respect might be also a softer voice. So it depends on how we're trying to convey things. You will use our voice to do that. Okay, this is proxemics that I was explaining to you just now. Think about yourself in a taxi or on a plane or on a bus. Your intimate zone is very close to you. It's up to 50 centimeters away from you. And often in that space, you don't see the whole body, but you can smell and you can feel the heat of the person. So that's how close you are. And normally you would not want somebody that you don't know very well to be that close to you. So if you see in a cartoon, people are sitting very close together, or in a picture they are right on top of each other, it means there's a very close connection with them. Personal, it's like your friends. You like them to be at least half a meter away from you, not on top of you, I think, unless you're very close friends, to a meter. I remember social distancing is 2 meters. So you're getting into the social zone then, but further apart, okay? You shouldn't be in that intimate zone or the personal zone. And then people in the public, we rather have them at least 4 meters away from us. You should feel comfortable. If you come from an open area where there's lots of land, you normally have bigger spaces. If you come from a place like India or the urban areas where there's lots of people together, you won't mind your space becoming a bit smaller. It depends on where you're staying. Okay, right. Adornment, what we're wearing. She's got a Sheila on her, so she must be from a Muslim culture, and that's how we associate them with that. This is what we're looking at: gaze. Making eye contact. You can see that the lady who's obviously chairing the meeting is even leaning in, showing really a lot of interest and making much eye contact with the person speaking, showing that she's really interested and listening to what he is saying. In this one, we've also got kinesics here. We've got the lady having her hands open, which shows that she's a very open person. She's not hiding away anything. She can be trusted. She's got a smile on her face, her body sitting up straight. The lady that she's talking to is leaning in, which shows that she's really listening to her. And she's also got a very pleasant look on her face, which means that she's quite happy with the situation. If you're going to go and have these 3 candidates for your interview and you looked at each of their faces, who would you think would be the most confident? Okay. Right, so if you look at the lady on the left, which is my left, she's got her hands in the steeple position, which means she's showing a sign of confidence. She's got her legs together, straight up. She's not making much eye contact, but she looks quite confident. The gentleman in the middle with his arms across his body shows that he's blocking. He's got his hands to his mouth, which also shows nervousness, although the legs open also indicate quite a lot of confidence. So you got to look at the cluster and how it is all together. The lady on my right, she's biting her lip. She's got her hands in her lap. She seems to be falling into herself. Her shoulders are down, showing that she is quite nervous. So these are all clusters of behavior that we show to give some kind of sense of what we're feeling at that time. So you've got to be conscious of it and check your body language sometimes to see what you're actually doing. Okay. Yes, our voice. Each of these words are punctuated, and I'm sure someone said that to you as well, or you've said it to someone. You are late again. Okay, and those would all be punctuated as they've been said. You can see how angry she is, the way her mouth is clenched, her teeth, eyes are bulging, hands are clenched, and she's showing tension in her whole body to show that she's quite angry with whatever is late. Okay. Right, do you lie? Your body shows it because your body is uncomfortable when you lie, and it'll do certain things. You'll touch your hair, or you'll touch your nose, or you'll touch your mouth because you're lying using your hands. I didn't do that. All shows lying. They say if you look to the right side, you're trying to be creative in your thinking. That means you lied. You look into the left side, you're being logical, so you're telling the truth. So watch people's eyes where they go. Are they lying or not? But apparently we show quite easily when we are lying. So How are you feeling today? My question I've asked you before, these are all little emojis. Are you feeling happy, silly, confused, angry, or sad? And here's all our emojis on our phones that we often use to punctuate and show how we're feeling. We're trying to express it to someone else. Are you feeling cool? Not cold, but cool. It means you're quite chilled. You happy? Okay. Or hopefully you're not sick. You're wearing your mask and you are social distancing. Are you tired? It's been a tough week. Okay, we're getting there. Got a long weekend coming. Hopefully many of you are feeling quite happy. Okay, that's a good place to be. Right. Lots of lovely emojis. Go and check these descriptions. These are nice words to use. Annoyed, goofy, frustrated. All right. Okay, what does CAPS say? So with CAPS, the value of visual literacy, they say, especially for senior phase, grade 8 and 9, you should try and integrate it into every aspect of every learning area. So if you're doing reading, you should have visual. If you're doing writing, think about graphics and graphs and describing them, you should have some kind of visual. If you're doing listening, have some kind of visual that students can actually relate to. If you're having speaking, definitely PowerPoints, there's all kinds of visual elements that you can include in every and it's just, they say it is to enrich and to extend. It's actually formally part of the FET program. But to be able to be a good person who is visually literate, you have to be able to interpret what you're seeing. So this is where the technical side comes in. You've got to know about body language. You've got to know about things like kinesics and proxemics and facial and gaze and gestures. You have to be able to interpret what is actually happening visually. So if someone's pulling their mouth like this, what's happening? Okay, it's quite an unusual expression, I think. If someone did that to you, you ask them a question like this, might mean that they're not sure about something, okay? They're also looking at ways that maybe they're thinking about something. They're trying to decide, okay, when would you do something like that? So it's to interpret the whole face and what you think is actually happening there. It's also to evaluate language, not only the actual visual, but also to look at the context this is taking place in and what language has been used. The use of emotive language with lots of connotations. Okay, I'm seeing red. Okay, that means I'm really angry. Okay, so, but the emotive meaning of red, okay, or I'm blue. Okay, I'm very down, I'm depressed. So the use of emotive language. Fact and opinion, to differentiate, is this fact or is this opinion? So what somebody thinks about something, or is it actually really, is what's really happening? And often all cartoons and jokes often are opinions, advertisements too. They want you to believe it. So it's not truth. Very little is actually fact with that. Irony means the opposite. So often in jokes and cartoons, the humor comes in meaning exactly the opposite to what someone is saying, and that's what makes it funny. So it's quite critical, and critical thinking is needed to actually unpack this. And that's what you'll see later. It says you must be a lateral thinker. You must think creatively about cartoons and pictures. So you've got to predict the outcome. So if you've got a cartoon, to be able to say what's actually going to happen next, to be able to predict that, and to think creatively about it. What is actually happening? What is the message here that's trying to come through? I'm going to go back. Yeah, we've got, again, the one that I quite like is John. He's the male in the Garfield cartoon. And of course, Garfield is the cat that doesn't really like John. As I said, if you look at their proxemics, they're not together ever. But what you need to interpret this visual is you need to look at the frames, 1, 2, and 3. You need to look at the actual text as well as the picture and understand it and put it together. So you'd have to understand the use of noise and exclamation marks and word bubbles and thought bubbles and put this whole together to understand what is happening visually. And here we've got John obviously coming from another room saying tap, 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 bang, oh, my thumb. Again, middle frame, tap, 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 bam, oh, my thumb. And he goes to the last frame and says, I've decided not to hang that picture. And of course, Garfield is not too impressed with John anyway. He says, run out of thumbs. Okay, so because he's got no more thumbs, he's hurting himself his head with the hammer. So there we are. That's the fun part of it. So the wiry answer from Garfield. Okay, Also, the value of visual literacy is that you can discuss important topics looking at visuals. Things like drug addiction, often a visual inspire and trigger thoughts for discussion. Things like tolerance or social distancing or abuse are often visually portrayed in pictures. So if you think about my favorite, it happened a lot in the UAE with my students hiding behind their laptops. The allure and fascination with screens while the teacher's trying to teach, far better to be sending WhatsApp messages during the class. So talking about use of digital devices in classes. Being aware of closed circuit television for surveillance. How important is that in the classroom? How important is that in a school? How important is that at your home? And to talk about it and the ethics behind it and what should be permitted. What about wearing seatbelts? Yeah, I think you would think that most people wear seatbelts, but do they often do that? Why do some people not wear? What can be helped by wearing seatbelts? What about smoking? With the ban now on smoking, what about that? What about if you keep on smoking? What's going to happen then? All right. Also, visual literacy allows you to broaden your outlook because you can talk about different things, you can argue, you can adopt a different point of view, and you can debate current topics. For instance, the use of face masks. I mean, you can talk about the pros and the cons of wearing face masks, how you feel when you wear them, why you like them, why you don't like them, why they're so important, why they're not important. So I was just saying to my granddaughter the other day, I don't know if masks will still be when she gets married one day. You'll have to have a designer mask one day to get married in. So, I mean, think about that. So the whole importance of talking about this to take on a viewpoint. Okay, so we've done all those sections. Now I'm just going to begin the technical details again of how you would analyze a visual. First of all, you'd have to look at the characters. So the first thing to do is to go look at the characters in the pictures, in the cartoons, in advertisements. Look at the facial expressions. What kind of expression have they got? What is their body language? Looking at their gaze, kinesics, proxemics. Look at relationships between people in pictures as well. Are they close? Are they distant? Are they friendly? Are they strained? How do we detect that? Why do we know that? Setting and the time. Where did this take place? What time was it? Okay. And so it's quite a sad picture. It's a whole section of pictures that are from disasters. And this was the tsunami in 2004 on Boxing Day, 26th of December. It rocked the world in Thailand. Lots of people lost so much. And you can see these 4 women sitting together on the beach, distraught. Obviously, you can see their grief etched in their face, their mouths wide open as they're crying out. So you look at their expressions, and you say, well, they are really shocked and traumatized by what's actually happened, and very, very sad. They're proxemics, they're all sitting close together, so they're obviously friends and related. The kinesics, they're all sitting with their feet out in front of them, their arms are down. I think it's actually in the whole sorrowful look that they have got. The one lady on the left is looking into the other one, because the one in the middle, the focal point, the lady in the yellow, is obviously distraught about what's happened. Okay, so that's the time and space I spoke about. Also, you can look at composition. That is the center, the foreground, and the background of all the pictures. So if you look at this one, you've got the little girl, which is obviously to me the focal point. She captivates me. And then I move from her in the foreground to the center, which is where the fire is, to the smoke in the background. So in terms of the composition layout, it actually takes you on a journey through this. You see her, and then you see the actual disaster, and then you see the smoke. So you move through the picture, and this gives you the color, the black and the white gives vibrancy to the pictures as well. It can be a somber picture, or it can be a bright and vibrant picture. Different colors have different textures in pictures as well. The action can be static. That means it's not really moving. If you think about the previous picture where the ladies were sitting there showing their grief, it wasn't really moving. It was a static captured, still instant in that time. Whereas this one looks like it's got movement, because you're moving from the foreground right into the background. Your static action or your inferred movement that's happening. This one is also happening with the tsunami as well. And there you can see, although it is the same kind of evidence, there is more movement because her arms are going out here, and the lines give movement to pictures. You can see there it's moving out from her to the other person on the left. So you can get a sense of movement and a grief and the way her body is lying, the kinesics of how she is lying. Very sad, really. So I thought I'd bring in a happier one. This is also a disaster in the Philippines in 2016 after a typhoon hit them. But the photo captures this boy, his name's San Diego, and his sister Princess. They have overcome the typhoon. Their proxemics, they are very much into their personal space, intimate space, because they are brother and sister, and he's hugging her. He's got a smile on his face. He's making eye contact. He looks happy, looks relaxed. So all these things come together, and you can see the disaster, the background of the actual trauma that they're experiencing, but he represents this beautiful color of happiness. Even the red from his sister is also giving vibrancy to the picture. Very soft eyes he's got there. Okay. There's some more terms. We've got what we call vectors and lines. Okay. These show direction and movement, vectors do. So if you look at this dog and the leash, you'll see little lines by the head. There you go, by the head and on the leash. And those little lines show movement. You can see the dog is straining to go forward. Okay, so vectors give movement to pictures and direction. You also have what we call curved lines. This also gives movement. There's this whole mesh thing. I can actually see the moving in there. Also, you have straight lines, and straight lines also give movement because you're moving into that along this pier to the end there. You want to get there. So you have this whole sense of movement getting to the end, which is the focal point. There's another straight lines as well, but it's also moving. It looks like a prison with the barbed wire and the fencing here, and you're wanting to move to that. So although it's a picture that looks still, there is movement in it, moving towards a point. As with the film, we're going to look at angles, high and low, level, camera shots, far, medium, close, also very important in visual literacy. And he has also quite a morbid picture. I wonder why. And if you look at the camera angle, okay, are we looking down at him or are we looking up at him? If you're looking at the angle, it's a low level, it's looking up towards the trees, all right? So what does that indicate if it's low? It means it's giving status and stature, but we're going to look just now at the perspective of the viewer. We're actually looking down to him, although the camera's looking up. It's quite a close shot from him. So if you look at the viewer's perspective, I'm looking down at him. And what does that mean? It means he's in danger. There's something sad about him. Images and symbols, we can see all the gravestones where his face is resting. This picture is actually called selfie. Interesting. In a graveyard like this, it was called a selfie. And you might think of what is the message actually that's coming through from this picture? That's open to your interpretation. Quite an interesting picture, I thought. And then this one is obviously with an earthquake, again with the disaster theme. Also, it's got lines. The building looks like it's toppling over. We're looking up at the building, which is showing stature as well, but it's about to topple over, so it's going to disintegrate. The focal point, the lines, the angles, intersecting points, all give a lot of character, and we're looking up at the building as the viewers. So as a photographer, you try and capture those angles and viewers' perspectives as well. Right, so now we can look at the 4 different kinds of visuals. The first one is symbols, which is a sign or an image to represent something else. And that one is what? Yes, that's my favorite, my iPhone. Okay, so the Apple will always be that. And then we've got the whole host that you all know, Starbucks, MasterCard, Samsung, Unilever, Coca-Cola, Nikon, the Nike Swish. All of those things are part of the signs we just take in every day. You all know what that is. If you see that somewhere, you should understand it and interpret it and not go near it because it means it's danger. Yes. And if you're a lady, you might need to see that sign sometimes, which is the restroom for ladies. Okay, you need to interpret them. So what they're saying about symbols is how clear is the message? Because when we're looking at a symbol, how clear is that? Who am I targeting? Who's my audience? Women, criminals, Coca-Cola lovers, And will they be able to understand my message at the end? So you've got to be sure that if you're using a symbol, they must be able to understand the message. We look at photographs now and pictures and images. This one, as you all know, a photograph is an image recorded by camera. And here we've got Mandela, yes. And we can assume it is Robben Island. And he's looking out his cell windows through the bars. Okay, let's have a look at this picture. The context, what I said it was, Robben Island, Nelson Mandela. It's a portrait. Landscape is a longer type of picture, so pictures are always portraits or landscapes. There's a fore, back, and middle ground. The nearer part is the fore, then the middle where Mandela is, and then the back where he's looking out into. Focal point is him. It's dynamic, the picture, because you're looking out the window with him. You are peering out those bars. He's looking to his freedom, release, getting out of this place. We must assume it's taken afterwards because he looks quite happy with his facial expression and his body language looks quite relaxed, his hand hanging down, standing up straight. The angle is, we're on the same level as him, so that means we are with him in this experience. We are appreciating what he's seeing. The light and the dark represents maybe it's a memory. It's not something that's happening now. It's something that he's thinking about, taking you back in time. How do you feel? I feel sad. I feel happy that he was released, but it gives a sadness to you as well. And what would be the main idea? What would be the theme of this picture? Interesting one was that Santa Bank took the same picture, or similar picture, with a lady looking out of bars, also wistfully. And this was the idea of her, was that she needed Santa Bank to give her some kind of protection when she reached 65, because she said, I can look after my child, I can cook a meal, but what's going to happen to me when I turn 65? Do I know how to look after myself then? And Santa Bank comes to the rescue with insurance and can help her survive breaking out of this time period. So it shows you what advertisements can do with visuals as well. Here again, here's Mandela after he's released in 1994. Also got movement, this picture with his hand going up and then looking over there. We are moving with his eyes, looking to the left there to see what he's looking at. The joy, the jubilation. We're also on the same level as him, so we're part of this movement with this throng of people. And we can feel the elation, the joy on their faces. And in my last, I wasn't sure, Francois Pienaar was with Mandela here at the World Cup in 1995. And you can see they're quite intimate. They are touching each other, which is also a sign of camaraderie. They are looking into each other's eyes. They are smiling. It's a happy occasion because we won the World Cup. And there is the focal point, the World Cup. And so this picture comes with color and it's a jubilant, happy picture showing great intimacy between these two people. Right, number 3 is advertisements. Okay, we get on, got 4, remember this is number 3. An advertisement is a public notice. It means advertise, promoting a product, a service, opportunity, or even a cause, okay? And it appeals to our desires, our needs, and our values, okay? So if it's for animal welfare, we care about dogs. They've got no food at this point. I need to be successful, to be independent, to have power, to have clothes, to be healthy. And so advertisements take on these different needs in us to try and get us to buy their products. So here we look at this Nike advertisement, move more, move better. And this is looking at our desire to be successful and strong and healthy and enjoy our sport. He looks very strong. She looks very strong and is obviously been very successful in what they do because they use this product. So buy Nike and you'll be good. Here we drink Mountain Dew, and we can also be successful adventurers, drawing camaraderie of friends and being successful, enjoyment, adventure, if we drink this. So it's all you need to do is drink that and you can have this lifestyle. Also, we can have a Coke and have a lovely time with our friends. And let's get some water. If you have Coke, you can share a moment with your friends, have luxury and success with them. Okay, I'm talking too much. Also with the cars, I hope I'm not going to have copies back now. This is for luxury, to enjoy your vehicles if you've got money to burn for success, or for beauty, the luxury of being a designer with beautiful perfume and all the things that we aspire for. And finally, fresh 24 hours, we don't even have to do anything. We must just use this wonderful minty toothpaste, and we can have a healthy mouth. Isn't that quick and easy? Okay, so if we're going to study advertisements, we've got to look at first of all the headlines, trying to decide where that is. They've often got a slogan, which is words that always are associated with an advertisement. Often got a logo, like the swish, as well as the fonts, the color, and the contrast, all the visual aspects. There's a lovely one for Just Do It, soccer players. Nike, they do this for all sport types and to promote sport. But language is also another aspect, which is huge. If you have a look, we've looked at all the visual, the technical side, but if you have a look at this list here, you can see there's a whole range of vocab and words and expressions that are important in advertisements. Right from the use of catchy phrases, using words like you and we to show togetherness, repetition of words, rhymes, humor, exclamation marks, using celebrities, using half-truths, okay, for these medical issues, and scientific evidence. So if you look at this Colgate advertisement, it says 80% of bacteria are not on the teeth, all right? They're actually on the teeth, the cheeks, the tongue, and the gums, so you've got to be very careful. So don't just worry about bacteria on your teeth. You need protection for your whole mouth, and if you use Colgate, 100% of your mouth will be sanitized. Now, these are scientific percentages that you see in this, make people think about it and think that it's true. Possibly it is, I'm not too sure, but it's enough to convince people to go and buy the product. This is quite an interesting one with Big Macs, McDonald's, saying fuel up, feel good, play on words. If you fuel up, there's also connotations for that, and feeling good. The alliteration of the F there, F and F, is enough to make you inspired to go and have your car filled up. At the same time, you can feel good by getting this wonderful Mac burger and chips. Okay, so this is one way to get you to eat. Lovely reds, nice colors, delicious looking hamburger. This is Nando's, just after the coronavirus came out, and they always have a lovely play on words, and this was their logo, Logan and slogan. Turns out finger licking isn't good, okay? With putting our fingers in our mouth, rather reach for the soap. So they still sell their product by saying these controversial things. They have things to say about Eskom and everything else, load shedding, and they're quite funny. Most said celebrity, so we got Roger Federer, and it's saying love 15, which is a tennis score, and we're saying congratulations, Roger, on his 15th victory. Okay, so the love 15 means he's the best as well. So a lovely picture of him there. And yeah, we've got because you're worth it. It's our slogan for Alviv. And if we use this product, we are worth it. We should be using it, and it's going to give us triple resist, and we can have beautiful hair just like that. So all these things, the color, the wording, all appeal to us, okay, because we are worth it. Another way we can analyze advertisements is by using AIDA principle. This is part of persuasive language. The A stands for attract the viewer, and this is what we're going to look at the headline to attract us. The I in AIDA stands for interest aroused, and that looks at our different needs. I'm going to go back one. Our needs and our desires. And if you all think about Maslow's pyramid, which I'm sure you've all come across this numerous times, where there's 5 levels on the pyramid. So the first level of need is our physiological needs, and these are needs for sleep, for shelter, for food, water, air, clothing, our basic needs. And often advertisements will sell because it's giving you a better sleep at night, nice food, that was the McDonald's, water, safety in water. Also our safety needs is the second level, very important in terms of Maslow's hierarchy. This is our personal safety, our security, employment, our resources, our health, our property. or the insurance, art insurance, all of them will advertise for this need as well to make people secure. Love and belonging, we all want to have friends and share the Coca-Cola ad. Intimacy, family, a sense of belonging, we all want to have friends and be liked. So that whole sense of being together group and sharing, that Mountain Dew, Coca-Cola, all have that idea going. Esteem, respect, status, recognition, strength, freedom, all those are quite important to us, that we want to be idolized, looked up to, look as if we're very important. If it says if you use this product and you will be beautiful, there's you've got your esteem recognition, or you'll get a degree or some kind of qualification. Self-actualization is the desire to become the best that you can be. And I think often the Nike ads bring that out in their ads, that you can be the best that you want to be. What we also need, this is the new revised Maslow's hierarchy, also physiological needs is Wi-Fi. Yeah, all the fiber that's going around now, the whole need for fast, quick Wi-Fi. And what about battery life? What happens when your battery dies? Okay, those are issues and problems. So those are also basic needs that we have. The D in AIDA is desire, the benefits. So if we've got Wi-Fi, we can be connected. We can access anybody. We can download. We can be part of Netflix. Look at all the benefits. And if you list all those benefits, a person will go and buy their product. If you have insurance, you never have to be insecure. If you lose anything, it'll be given back to you. So those are all kinds of desires and benefits that we have. And that brings us to the last A, which is action. Okay, we all want to buy that product. Okay, so that's very, very important to us. And if that doesn't happen, the whole advertisement's basically failed. Right, so again, beauty, I've got this one, says, I am perfected as a headline, not right at the top, but there, means that something is perfecting me. I don't actually have to even do this. That's how easy it is. So I'm going to be perfect. That is my esteem, my status. And they have got this cream that will give me this flawless face and care for my skin at the same time. Right, and I can make a glamour statement. So this product is going to do it all for me. I don't have to worry. I'm going to look like that just by using it. Okay. But not only women, but men also have needs of looking good. And in this one, Gerard Butler, an actor, is the celebrity that actually says, look sharp, not tired. Enough said. So men, yes, you can also look a bit tired. But if you use this product, you will have anti-fatigue moisturizer. So you won't look tired. And it says there in the bottom right here, it's not a facelift. You look like you've had a facelift, but it's not a facelift because this product is so amazing. One of these products are sold every minute, and this is the scientific evidence to show you how good it is because men are all using it. So these are all to get you to the buy part. You've got headlines attracted you, Hydra, energetic, we all want to be energetic. I need to be looking good, esteem, benefits, it does it for us. We don't have to ever worry about being tired. It'll make us look rejuvenated. And so we go and buy the product. Okay. Last one is the cartoon part of visuals. So cartoon is often used in the exams, whether it's a single cartoon or a frame cartoon for you to interpret. So it's a drawing or a picture with text often, to entertain and amuse you. And in order to understand cartoons, you have to have certain vocab, because you have to describe it in the exams or in the tests. You've got to know what thought bubbles are, all right? What do they mean? You see those little dots, it's your thought bubble. Or it can be a speech bubble. Okay, that's showing the words coming out. There are also caricatures and stereotypes. The caricature, here's a lovely one of Donald Trump. Okay, takes part of your features and it exaggerates him. So I'm sure you can see what is being exaggerated with Donald Trump. He is French, okay? And here's dear Mr. Bean, okay, emphasizing his nose and his eyes, okay, which is what is part of Mr. Bean as well. Those are caricatures. Also stereotypes. So if you're a laborer, that's what you look like. You're going to wear a helmet, braces. If you're an Indian, you'll wear a turban. If you are a Muslim, you'll wear a sheila and a abaya. So if we're different kinds of people, we get different kinds of outfits. Not really so, but people will look at those pictures and understand what you're talking about. You also have to speak about different frame sequences in cartoons, but you also have to have an understanding of the use of language. And often, to make it amusing, they will use satire, irony, and parody. Satire is really cutting hurtful remarks that people make about things, which are inclined to hurt, but can be funny as well. Irony is just saying the opposite of what you mean. So if you say to someone, "You're very late," you're actually meaning they're quite early. So you can twist it, or "You're very early." Why so early? Meaning you're already very late, meaning the opposite of what you're saying. Parody is like taking a well-known story, could be, say, for instance, Cinderella or Three Little Pigs, and using that story in a different sense. So using the Three Little Pigs in a more modern version, which would be a parody of what it was all about. So those are words you would need to know if you're talking about cartoons. Here again, we have got John and Garfield. Again, you can see the social distancing between them. You've got your 3 frames. You've got thought bubbles. I'm sure you can see them. I can see the word bubbles, the speech bubbles, and you can see the conversation happening. You can see their gaze. They're looking to the one side all the time. John looks quite shocked because his eyes are big. All right. And he says in the first frame, "Why are the mice running laps in the kitchen?" They're running round and round, the mice. And in the second frame, he says, "The mice are washing my car and doing jumping jacks." All right. And he says, "And what happened to my 6-pack of energy drinks?" Okay. His energy drinks are gone. And Garfield says, "I think you solved the mystery, Sherlock." Okay, being sarcastic to John, who has now realized why these mice are so active. Okay. So you'd have to explain the message and why this is funny if you were looking at this. Okay, so how do we study cartoons? We first of all look at the characters. We say, are they caricatures? Are they stereotypes? What are their facial expressions? All these things again, you look at the non-verbal and you analyze and talk about that. Then you might look at the background and the setting, when and where did this take place? Then you would also look at the language of the cartoon. Is it slang? Is it jargon? Are they using single words all the time? Are they phrases? Are they sentences? If you look at this one with Charlie Brown and Lucy, you'll see that there's a lot of punctuation forms here with question marks and exclamation marks, often all together. Lots of bold capitals, meaning shouting. So you'd have to look at the whole setup of the frame by frame, look at the relationship. Are they friends? Are they distant? Who's talking? What are the others doing? What are they saying? How do you know they're shouting? And the third one, why has he got that cloud above his head? All right, so you'd have to interpret that while Charlie Brown's walking away. They're busy staring after him. Then there's the last comment. You know, it's a strange thing about Charlie Brown. You almost never see him laugh. Okay, so they've never said anything to make him laugh because they're always quite mean to him. So you'd have to interpret that whole issue there. There's another one with Lucy shouting. It seems like she shouts a lot. The use of bold, the use of exclamation marks, the use of her facial expression as well, and her gesture, her finger that's pointing in Charlie Brown's nonplussed face. Here again is a group of 4 frames, and we'll see the person's obviously at school working on the laptop. In the first frame says, I wish I wasn't stuck at school on this computer, not a flat screen. The second frame says, I just think of all the fun I could be having at home. Then she thinks about home. And what is she doing at home? She's busy on her laptop. And she says, that's a laugh. Okay. So explain the humor in that what she's doing at school is exactly what she's going to do at home, but that's what she desires and what she's thinking about and what message is coming home to us from that. Right, so I'm coming on to my last slide. Here we go. This is from Ferreira, page 226 to 227, table 14.1. And Ferreira goes through how we can actively view this, any kind of visual. First of all, to look at the visual, all the things I've mentioned, right from framing to color to eye contact. You look at that, the actual part of that, and then you would look at the visual. I'll come back to that. Then you look at some kind of relationship is constructed between the viewer and the subject. What relationship is it? Is it close? Is it distance? What meaning is coming through that? And the last thing you do is look at the words. What words contribute to this message, all right? And then you look at the kind of language that's used, fact and opinion, personal pronouns. And so you would analyze, for instance, this picture, which was from a grade 9 exam, a GT exam, of this little boy in this, looking like an X about a hatch. He's in the soccer ball. He is going to emerge from this, and it says on the side that words, only words on the advertisement says, sport can give new life to children. And then you'd have to look at the figurative and the literal meaning that's coming across you, plus the whole image that has been used of a new birth and the use of the soccer ball. So it's quite profound, lots of things that can come into that, but quite an interesting use of pictures. And that brings me to the end of today's class, learning event. That's visual literacy tied up. All you need to do is get onto your assignment 3, complete the visual literacy. Only choose one of the genres, don't choose them all. Choose a cartoon, a picture, a symbol, or just the other one, advertisement. So just choose one of them and create your lesson, design your lesson around just that one genre, thinking of the technical aspect, the visual, the wording, and relationships. Okay. Have a good evening. This is me over and out. I'll see you next week with the canned lesson. Gone a bit over time. Thank you, Simon. I'll stop here.
No, Marcel, thanks so much. Tell me, do we have time for one question?
Yes.
We've got a question from Megan. It's in the chat. Otherwise, I can read it. I can read it.
Okay. I need to see if I can see the chat here. Hi, Megan. She always is one of my star students. Where is chat? Is it at the top here?
Should be.
I see participants. Q&A. Yeah, Q&A.
No, if you go click on more on the extreme right, and then the first option, chat.
More, okay. Chat, yes. Is it time for questions at the end? At the beginning of the lecture, you mentioned lesson plans for assignment 3. Are we expected to create a full detail lesson for each? Megan, I think if you look at the actual assignment 3, you'll see that there is different things that are required. And one of the questions on assignment 3, I haven't got in front of me, is that you've actually got to say how you're going to teach this lesson. So although you have to design an assessment, you've got to put a rubric in with it. You'll also have to say how you intend to teach this cartoon or this visual. So you'd have to actually say, I'm going to introduce it by doing this. I'd have a pre-lesson. During the lessons, how I'm going to do it, my post-lesson, how I'm going to assess it at the end. So that would be one aspect that you'll have to cover. You can decide whether you're going to use a lesson plan or not, however you want to structure it. But that is one section of your assignment that you're going to have to do for each of these genres as well. So I'm not saying it's a full detail, but I would have to know how you're going to present it in the class as well. Okay. If that doesn't answer your question, Megan, you just give me an email and I'll respond to you as well. Okay, Simon.
Marcel, you're the best. Thank you so much. Have a lovely evening.
Okay, thank you, Simon. Take care. Be safe.
Bye.
Okay, you too. Ciao. Bye.